When does initiative become insubordinance or disrespectful?
Ooh.
I'm glad you're on this topic because that's something that I think we have something to say about.
It's processing. It's processing.
Because you personally, I know that you encourage, on one hand, you encourage taking initiative, but if they don't execute well, but if they do not execute it in a way that you like, then I think it can be problematic.
Then they're shit.
Restaurant Punk, what's up?
All right, Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
What's going on, Big Daddy?
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's going on?
What are you doing? What's going on?
It's chilling for now.
Nick Pavlo. Wait,
right.
I never really asked you. All right, so this is our first episode together, right?
Yeah.
So what do you like to be called? Is it Nick, Nico, Nicholas, Nikolaki?
Okay. So
What do you got?
I am comfortable with being called Nick. Nico is fine. People call me that too. I've had Romanians that call me Cole.
Cole?
It's part of the, it's Nick in Romanian, I guess.
Oh.
Nicholas is fine.
What do you prefer?
Right.
Nick is fine.
Nick?
Yeah, I like Nick.
All right, because we already have Nico.
Yeah.
Nikos. Nikolaki, right?
Does anyone ever call you by your last name?
Yeah, a lot of people call me by my last name.
'Cause I'm like that.
A lot of
Like,
people say
there's-
Nick Pavlo.
Do you like that?
They say, I notice
okay
they do
with
say
that.
Nick Pavlo, but does anyone ever call you Pablo?
Just Pavlo?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Nobody ever just calls me just Pavlo. Like my high school gym teacher, maybe.
Oh.
That's like it.
I have the tendency to do that. When I'm around guys, they all have the same first name. I just call them by their last name.
Yeah.
It's just easier, yeah.
But I feel like because there's a couple Nicks that a lot of people refer to me as Nick Pavlo because it's
Yes.
just easier to get away from.
But for Restaurant Punk purposes,
Oh, yeah.
we'll stick with Nick.
Nick, yeah.
Nick.
And then Noel refers to him as Nick Pablo. I just said in another episode that I'm like, did you just say Pablo?
Did you? Yeah. See?
Yeah.
All right, sticks.
Cool.
What do you guys got going on? What's happening? What do we got? What are you thinking?
I
You
think
got
Nick
something?
has something, yeah.
When does initiative become insubordinance or disrespectful?
Ooh.
I'm glad you're on this topic because that's something that I think we have something to say about.
It's processing. It's processing.
Because you
Good one.
you personally, I know that you encourage, on one hand, you encourage taking initiative, but if they don't execute well, but if they do not execute it in a way that you like, then I think it can be problematic.
Yeah, then they're shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
Saying.
Wait, did you two talk about this topic before we got on?
No.
Is that why Liz is giving me the finger?
No.
Did I?
No?
I never think I'm doing
Yeah,
it.
you just
until-
went like this and you're like, you. And I'm like, me. I'm like, I do that?
This was a topic I came up with, I think, in the shower.
Oh.
Yeah.
Initiative versus.
Yeah, disrespect.
Insubordination.
Insubordinance, yeah. And where's the line?
Liz?
That's a tough one.
Give me an example. Give me an example because maybe I need a picture on this.
Let's say, okay, how about this? Didn't you say that there was an owner operator, I believe, years ago who wanted to change the sound system and he took the initiative to change it? Now,
Okay.
if he had said to you ahead of time, this is what I want to do, and you said, no, leave it. I don't know if you did, but let's just say you did. And you said, no, leave it. And he did it anyway. You'd have looked at that as insubordination. But he did it and it turned out good. And he was right. He did make the right call. Now it's initiative. Right?
I would say my latest example of initiative and insubordination would be Noel.
Oh.
Noel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I think when we were creating the studio, Noel took the initiative and said, I can hop on that.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, I'm kind of used to doing that over the past 20 years. Like I'll like decorate or do anything. Now, just to make the point clear, she started working in here and I was like, you know, we work with what we got, right? And you remember what it looked like beforehand.
God.
I mean, there was nothing in here, right?
Awful.
So she started, and me, Mr. Scrooge, comes in. I raise an eyebrow. I'm looking around. It's how she handled it. She's like, not yet. Just trust the process. Just, what's it called? Indulging me.
Right.
I feel like I got indulged. And I'm like, okay. I'm not really feeling it, but okay, go ahead. And then I came in, 2 weeks later, and then we saw it, and then we put up then. And then she started with this stuff back here. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see it. So does trust play a factor when it comes to the person who's initiating?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And if they don't have trust, we've worked together with somebody at a former restaurant that, let's say there was trust built, I would allow more of that initiative without the repercussions of, what'd you get? Disobeying? It's not disobeying. It's really, are you willing to take the chance? Are you willing to fail when you take that chance? And does my opinion really matter in that vision?
Well, it's tough, you in your position, right? Because you're used to, for years, this was like George's Place, the whole like restaurant group as you started, that was your baby, you're the founder. And it's hard for a person in your position to relinquish control. And if you don't have the trust, and I've noticed with you, until someone proves themselves, like you absolutely 100%, it doesn't matter who they are, do not trust them, period, end of story.
Wow. Wow. Between the finger wagging and what just happened and what came out of her mouth, I'm like, holy shit.
But am I wrong?
No.
Okay, all right.
I'm twitching a little bit. I'm like, all right, she's right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But and then also Noelle, and this was what I thought was interesting because Noelle did this. It wasn't something that you would have thought of to design, right? We all ended up liking it. I'm not a fan of pink, but I like everything she did in this room.
Okay.
So this was the first project that she did that she said, let me just do it and then wait and see. And you ended up liking it, correct?
Correct.
And then she moved on to what? To Petunia.
Yes. So trust was built from the studio, and she said, I would like to decorate Petunia BYOB in Cape May Courthouse.
Right.
She wanted to decorate it, and I said, you have a vision? She's like, yeah. She just went ahead and did it. Right. Didn't ask me questions, didn't do anything. And yes, so a little bit of trust was built. And when we talk about this studio, it's not like we had a lot to work with. We just, work with what we had and and what she did with Petunia, I'm like, okay. And then like Liz was going on to say, she went on to do Prohibition as well. So I feel like the trust is there. I don't agree with everything still, but I choose to take a step back because I feel like she did better than I could have. So with what she had to work with.
Okay.
Because everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different palette.
So this is like aesthetics that we're talking about
Yes.
now. This is all very aesthetic.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
So what about like an employee going, let's say rogue, like a rogue initiative. So like, let's say, I don't know, we'll call her Mrs. Nesbitt is upset about her entree or whatever. So the employee just goes up and he's like, oh, we're really sorry about that. You know what? Free dessert for you. How do we feel about that? Doesn't consult a manager, doesn't talk to an owner, doesn't talk to anybody. Just is like, I'm going to fix it right now. Go.
Would this go back to the first thing that shot into my head was trust again? Yeah. So let's say I have a seasoned, there's a seasoned employee that's been there for 6 years and has built that trust to where you're a restaurateur out there or you're a business owner, and that person has built up enough trust to when you feel comfortable to leave to attack something else and you say, okay, that's all right. Nick is there, right? So let's say you have a new employee. Does seniority play a role in that? I think it's a trust thing again, because a free dessert doesn't fix everything. Right. It's basically you know what? I know you didn't like it. Shut up. Here's a free dessert. You should be happy now. And I think one of the things that we practice in the group is, I like to give that meal for free or whatever they didn't like for free. But we also like to give a gift certificate for them to come back for the same exact, because the whole idea in our business is we need people to come back. We need that. And I think connecting with people at the restaurant or at the bar or anything, I think that plays a big role too. So when you talk about that server, where do you feel comfortable? I go to trust, Liz. What do you think?
Yeah, I go to trust, but then you have some people who, okay, let's say you have a server who's not mindful and is constantly making stupid mistakes to the point now they're pissing off the kitchen and the guest. And they're like, well, I'll just fix it. We'll give them a free dessert every time. So, do you know what I'm saying? Then that becomes a problem.
Right.
So it goes back to trust. And then you have to be able to trust that person to be able to make good decisions, because you can't just always make that same decision. It depends on the circumstances surrounding why you would need to do that, right? It would change depending on what had unfolded.
Right.
And there's not always going to be one same go-to answer. But I think some people, you can run into that problem where they're constantly up and then they're constantly fixing it at the expense of the owner instead of owning their own shit. I'm sure you've seen that as a server happen. Yeah. I mean, the place I work at now, so my bosses, it's all trust, but they know like there's some decisions. Sometimes they're not always where I'm in the kitchen with the servers.
Right.
and they're off, and I'll make calls on their behalf. But they also know I do everything based on the greater good of the company and of that particular venue. So they let me say whatever.
Okay.
And everyone, it's understood, like I'm like the unofficial manager. So I just kind of make the calls. But again, it's based on trust. And then I worked in one place when I worked for that one large retailer. I did visuals for them. And my boss was a lot like you. He wanted things a certain way. He liked a certain aesthetic. And when he gave you direction, you were to follow it to a T. You walked around with a notebook when he had your assignments for like the day or the week, and you had to do exactly. And there was a day that he gave me a list and I did it differently. And he came up to me, he said, that's not what I asked you to do. I go, I understand that, but what I did was better. And this is why. Ooh. And he looked at me.
You felt that punch right there too, huh? See?
Well, he looked at me and he said, that's what I like. He's like, if you can back it up, he's like, you can do whatever you want. But no one ever did that because everyone was afraid of him because he wanted things a specific way. But sometimes you have to take the initiative and then deal with the consequences.
Yes, because it's a risk.
Yes.
You're taking a risk.
It's
risk
a risk.
Versus reward.
It is. But if you're dedicated to do what's best for everyone involved and to execute it really, really well, even if it shows that you're committed to executing it well and maybe it's still not right, I think your manager, your owner would appreciate that and they would respect that. Maybe you missed the mark a little bit, but at least you tried.
But how about when it goes completely south?
Right.
Then what?
Then it's tough. Then you got, unfortunately.
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
As I tried, like, good at that point. Yeah,
Well,
you tried, but now you made like a real shit.
You made it worse. Then at that point, as an owner, I'd have to reel him in a little bit. Reel you in, okay?
Right.
I'm open to new ideas, but there has to be boundaries. There has to be a game plan. Let's discuss it. Because now, I'm not going to say it to the person's face, but I'm going to think, okay, well, now I can't trust you because I don't think you have good ideas. But I'm not going to say you don't have any good ideas. I feel like there could be something there. But going forward, let's have the game plan. Like, let's discuss it. Let's flesh it out. Let's talk about it. Let's brainstorm together to come up with something. Because I always feel like sometimes the person you think's not that creative or not that good at something, you never know. They might have this nugget of information or there's something really special down the line. They just need to be like cultivated a little bit.
Coached.
Yeah.
Put in the right direction.
I like that. And, using your example of when a server comes up and wants to buy free dessert for somebody, would there be a difference if it was an owner or a manager? Because there's two types of people. The server comes up and says, I don't know, I messed up their order. I'm going to give them free dessert. I would be under the impression that most managers would say, okay, just take care of it. And most owners would say, let me go to the table and talk to them.
Right.
And there's some really great managers out there that I've come across that said, I'm going to go talk to them just to connect and just to really see what happened or what was wrong. Was the steak not cooked right, or was the server rude, or you didn't like the side dish? So I think that also plays a big role too. Right. So I guess is the manager or owner just as guilty when it comes to that? Yeah, I think that would be a whole other topic, brother, to be honest.
They're letting their, employees.
Yeah, I would think, or when a server goes, let me rephrase that. When a server goes, I would like to buy dessert for this table because so-and-so.
Yeah.
Are you the type of owner or manager to say, yeah, no problem? Or are you the type of person to say, I'm going to go talk to them and connect?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of managers, instead of dealing with the customers like in person, just give them something free, that's fine. And they just were like, they just didn't want to confront people. I mean, that's the nature of your job. I don't know how you're not confrontational. Like, you don't want to engage customers.
That's why, I think it's hard to have we could have this argument all day, but I think that's why it's hard to have the manager position. And you might have a manager that says, well, yeah, it's my job, but am I going to get in trouble? I'm getting my paycheck. That's why I differentiated the owners from the managers, because the owners, when you hear that, it stings.
Right.
Because it's your money. And at the end of the day, it's your pride, it's your name on the place. So I feel like we can go on with this one for a while because that's a great topic, man.
It is, but what's your final thought on that?
My final thought is, I know you're going to say I operate the opposite. However, no, I want you to be insubordinate and go for it. I just want you to be prepared for the consequences if it doesn't work out. And I've noticed some people have shut down on me because because of my reaction, and I insisted that no, it's not going to work. And the type of person that gets knocked the out and then just gets back up, they'll be fine in life. But if you take something and let's say I shut it down and then you completely shut down and you stop like flowing more ideas because you're hurt because this one didn't work. I think that's how I would differentiate between the two.
Sure.
I love people who I can unleash on, and then they just come right back the next hour with something else. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Like, I like that.
I feel like Noelle's like that. Noelle's tough. Like Noelle, I don't feel like she's phased by a lot of stuff, which is good. It's not very common.
I haven't really unleashed.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, but no, I think
The blood has started to boil.
no, I hear what you're saying, but I personally have been very direct with her, and she was very welcoming to the things that I say. And I don't think she was offended or like got upset by anything I said.
No, she's a butterfly. She is a butterfly, meaning that it doesn't want confrontation, but I feel like, yeah, it does bounce off her a little bit, but you have to be a special type of person. You know what I mean? And what's the word that thing I was telling you before about the studio? I would come in and be like, I don't like it. She'd be like, oh, it'll be fine, darling. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great. She knows how to indulge me. Right?
Sure.
And I caught myself one time. I'm like, wait, is she manipulating me? So now it's in the back of my head. I'm like, or is she just that good?
Right.
So maybe like as a testament to what you just
there's
said.
a calm to her.
I think though, sometimes you have to have that skill. I think that skill is a very important skill to have, especially when you're dealing with
You have it.
people who are above you.
Are you talking about
You have to know how to talk to people in order to either one, get your point across, or two, open up a conversation, because the way that you might normally act or talk might not always be conducive to getting things done or opening up a channel. So you have to change the way that you interact with certain people or things in order to find an outcome or a balance in what it is that you're looking for. It's not necessarily a manipulation as more as it is a tactic to converse and get the ideas put together and then get on a mutual page with things. Does that make sense?
You get all that, Yianni?
Amen, brother. Amen. If I could take this mic off right now and drop it, I'd drop it for you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Great topic, by the way.
Yes.
So, at the end of the day,
I'm all for take initiative.
take initiative.
Even
You
if it
feel
comes
that
out
way?
bad.
Initiative,
But it comes to trust.
Yes.
Trust and initiative go together.
Yes.
And then be a good owner, be a good manager. Make sure that if your employees are taking initiative, that you're on top of them and seeing what they're taking initiative with.
Yes.
How are they fixing the problem? And how are you going to fix that problem in the future going forward?
Everybody got that?
Yep.
You got that?
Yeah, do
Talking
it.
to you out there. Restaurant Punk, I'm Yianni.
That's Liz.
Nick.
See ya.
Bye. We'll probably go off topic
more?
anyway.
What you got? What do you want?